All right, moving on to the next section. What we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the area of trapezoids, rhombuses, and kites. Rhombuses, and kites. We're going to be looking at the area and how to find these. Okay. So the first thing is a trapezoid. So a quick refresher on what a trapezoid is. So a trapezoid has one pair of parallel sides, only one pair. And those parallel sides are called the bases, okay? And that's important to know. The other sides of a trapezoid, we're going to call the legs of it. Sometimes they're equal. If they are equal, then the trapezoid is called an isosceles trapezoid. Yes, correct. And then we also have the height or the altitude. So the distance between the two parallel sides of the trapezoid. Okay, and so that's what we're going to be using when we're finding this. So the area of a trapezoid is the formula of 1/2 h, 1/2 the height, times the sum of the bases. Or if you want to think of it another way, you take the average of the bases and then multiply it by the height. Okay, that's another way of thinking about how this is working. But that's all it is. So you take base 1, add it to base 2, divide it in half, and then multiply it by the height. And that's your area of a trapezoid. Pretty easy formula. Okay. All right, so let's try to find the area of this one. So we have this trapezoid here, and we want to find the area of it. Formula again, 1/2 h times b1 plus b2. Okay. Now here I'm just going to plug in the h real quick and multiply it by half just so we get rid of it. So it'd be 6 times 1/2, which is 3. So we've got that 3, and now we've got to multiply it by the sum of the two bases. Well, the first base is going to be 5, okay, and the next base is going to be not 9, because these are in feet, this is in yards. So you're going to have to watch your units and make sure you change them. So we've got to turn 9 yards into feet, which there's 3 feet in a yard. So 9 times 3 is 27, so it'd be 5 plus 27. So then we'll go 5 plus 27. 5 plus 27, which is 32, multiply it by 3, and that should give us an answer of about 96 feet squared. Or if you wanted to keep it into yards, it would be about 10 2/3 yards squared. Now you're probably thinking, wait a second, wouldn't we just divide it by 3? Wouldn't that get us our answer? And the answer is no. And we'll talk about that later in another section. It kind of makes sense when we do it, but we're not going to talk about it right now. But basically, if you want to keep everything in feet, it would be 96 feet squared. If you want to keep everything in yards, which you would have to change 6 feet into yards, which would be 2 yards, and then you got to change 5 feet into yards, which would be 1 2/3 yards. And then you can do the same thing there. But either of those answers are correct. Just make sure you have everything in the same unit so you get your answer. Okay. All right, so basically how we get this trapezoid formula is from the triangle formula. Remember, the triangle formula is 1/2 base times height. Okay, and our trapezoid formula is 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases. Okay, so here we have a trapezoid. Now, as we move up and make the top smaller and smaller and smaller, okay, what happens is that when we come to a point, what's the length of the top base? It's 0. So essentially, a triangle, you can think of a triangle, you can use the trapezoid formula. It's 1/2 the height times base 1 plus 0, which is the top base. Okay. And that's kind of what a triangle is. So as you see, we've got a connection here between the area of a trapezoid and the area of a triangle. Okay, they're very similar. Okay. All right, rhombuses and kite, or a rhombus. The area for a rhombus and the area for a kite. To find the area of a rhombus or a kite, what you're going to do is you're going to go 1/2 times the diagonals that are multiplied together. So remember, the diagonals go from one end to the other. one end to the other. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the entire length of both of them together and then divide it in half. Okay. So 1/2 d1 times d2. So here we go. This right here is a kite. Okay. Just take my word for it. It's a kite. And so what you'll do is that you will multiply your area is equal to 1/2 times the length of d1, so 3 plus 10, 13, multiplied by the length of d2. 4 plus 4 is 8. So we'll go 1/2 times 13 times 8, which gets us about 52. Yep, oh, wrote over that. Gets us about 52 feet squared. So see, kite and rhombi, or rhombuses, are the same formula. d1 times d2 divided by 2. Okay, so now we want to find the length of AC. If we know what the area of this figure is, either it's a kite or a trapezoid, or it's a kite or a rhombus. We don't know because we don't know if it bisects. And so we know what the area is. It's 150, but since the formula is the same between the two, it doesn't really matter. So we set up our formula. We get 150 is equal to 1/2 times 6 plus 6 is 12, and multiply it by the length of AC. And now we're going to get all this together, which goes to 6 times AC is equal to 150. And get AC by itself, so divide both sides by 6. Gets us 15 divided by, or 150 divided by 6, which gets us a length of about 25. Which means that AC must be about 25 feet. So again, using the formula, you can have the area and then you can find the other missing parts. Okay, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. All right, here we go. The border of Tennessee resembles a trapezoid, kind of. Okay, again, we're simplifying the state of Tennessee. It's not like that. Well, that's actually a terrible Tennessee, man. That was terrible. I got it kind of reversed. It's kind of flatter here, and then it's got more of an angle there. So there's Tennessee, you know, Nashville and Memphis and, you know, all those other towns, Gatlinburg, all those other towns in Tennessee. And so the borders of it resemble kind of like a trapezoid. And so the bases of it are about 342 and about 438. And the height from top to bottom is about 111. Now we want to approximate the area of it, okay? And so what we'll do is that we'll just use what formula? The trapezoid formula. So the trapezoid formula gives us 1/2 times the height, 111, multiplied by the sum of the bases, 438 plus 342. So we're going to go 438 plus 342, divide that in half, multiply it by 11, gets us about 4329 miles squared. And that is the approximate area of Tennessee. Okay. So again, just using your trapezoids and everything. Your IRAT. Your IRAT here, you've got two figures, okay? So this 15 for this figure is the entire length. So the entire length is 15. Here's your trapezoid, here's your kite / rhombus. Find the area of each. And this 3 is only the top length. It's not the bottom. Okay. So the top length is 3 here, the whole length is 15. Okay. And there's your IRAT. Don't forget your units.